First month of your life. Baby has a lot of discoveries. There are many changes in routine in ours.
Do you feel insecure as well then? Let's talk about how we do it. Stimulate this.
Baby, what does he already know? You will learn what are the gains and development milestones of the first month of your little one's life. Look how many things have happened. We often say that this first month of life ends up being one of the most difficult moments for our baby. He's having to adjust to that life. Intrauterine, that he did not feel hungry, did not feel cold. He was all cramped up there.
For a life where he is required to understand how to suckle, he will have to learn that he now has plenty of room.
For him, it's a lot of learning, a lot of gains, but for him, it's difficult. It's hard for you too, because for you, who is your baby's world? You're all he knows. You are everything that brings security to your child. Look how important, delicious.
Huh?
If it's like that for him, it's going to be challenging for you too. You will have to nurture this child, and you will have a drastic change in your routine. Sleep deprivation are the major challenges, but one that you will overcome, yes. And I'm here to help you with all that. But let's start by talking about your little baby. Your little baby. He is considered a newborn until 28 days after birth, but there is important information if by chance he was born before 37 weeks, that is, if he is a premature baby. We will need to correct this baby's age to the date he should be born so that we can track his development adequately. Because premature babies, like those born before, will take a little longer to reach these milestones, in other words. If you're watching this video, your baby is premature. He's probably only going to fit all these milestones from that moment when he hits 40 weeks gestation. Correcting that date from now on, you start to see. Of course, we are curious, and even though we are premature, we already want to watch it. Look how much you will find out about your baby. It also has plenty of content for you, and if by chance he is already doing everything we comment here, it is because he is developing. A spectacular, if your baby, premature or not, still does not present some things, some milestones of development, calm down. Of course, we have to observe. Most importantly, we also monitor what the skill gains are. He can't park. He has to be constantly gaining new skills. As soon as your baby is born, it is natural for him to lose up to 10% of his weight. This is because before food arrived alone through the umbilical cord. Now he will need to learn to feed himself through breastfeeding. Remembering that breastfeeding is not instinctive, sucking, breastfeeding is instinctive, we will have to help our baby. For this, we have to learn too. And calm down, I have video for all this here. And then with that, your stomach hasn't been stimulated yet inside your belly. It will need to be stimulated. When a baby is born, it has a stomach about the size of a cherry. A week of breastfeeding will make you look like a nut. With 2 to 3 weeks of breastfeeding, it is already the size of a peach in 1 month. That is, at the end of this month, your child's stomach is already the size of an egg, and he will be nursing in this period up to 600 milliliters of milk per day. A good amount, huh? That little bottle of water, a little more, and he'll start gaining 140, 150 to 200 grams a week. You're going to get fat. You're going to show up right in the showers. In the folds that begin to appear, those chubby legs, arms, chubby. Not all newborns have it, but they will have it there. At 23 months, you will see how cute it will be only from breast milk. If by any chance you are having difficulty breastfeeding, it is important that you talk to a breastfeeding consultant or go back to where you had your baby in the hospital or maternity ward to ask for help. Or you can also take a look at the videos that I have here in the Parents' Almanac, in which I talk about breastfeeding techniques. I'll leave some slow ones for you. But it's important, you have to remember that breastfeeding shouldn't be painful for you. If it hurts, it's probably not cool and it's not your fault. It could be because the baby didn't have a good grip. It could be other factors. So don't beat yourself up, okay? And if you can't breastfeed, it's not to blame either. There are formulas that will feed your baby. And if you haven't been able to breastfeed, it doesn't mean that you are a worse mother or that your baby will have problems. I'm pro breastfeeding. I think it's one of the most wonderful moments we have in maternity, but you can replace them if you can't breastfeed, okay? So no guilt around here, I'm here to help you. Another characteristic of your baby, remember that inside the womb he was all shrunken up? He was all tight. So it is normal that in these first days, first weeks of life, he continues in this fetal position with his legs more arched, with his arms more pulled, including his legs. They're not straight, okay? They also have a little arc shape that improves over time, okay? So there, when you're about 6 months old, that leg will be more aligned. But for now, this arched leg is normal. You don't have to be scared, no. What about your little baby? He will make several uncoordinated movements, which are primitive reflexes. There are several of them. There is a reflection, for example, of demand. If you start putting your little finger like this on your little cheek, it will turn toward your finger. You don't mean hunger, it's a reflex. You have the gait reflex in the first few weeks, right? Especially in the first week. If you leave your baby standing and put it, for example, on a table, you will see that he will try to walk, and this reflex he loses in the first month of life. In addition to these reflexes, you have to close your hand. He puts his finger, he holds it, he does it even with his feet. He bends his little fingers. There is also the sucking reflex and the moro reflex, which are those sucks that the baby gives. It is not a problem, on the contrary. A baby who does not have this type of reflex may have a neurological problem, so it is natural that he has these reflexes. There's a theory that our little babies, they're born prematurely. They should stay at least another 3 months in the belly. But they need to be born first, otherwise we wouldn't be able to give birth. Wouldn't the development of the baby's head fit in our pelvis? So we say that the first 3 months of the baby's life, he is in an ethereal gestation. It is a pregnancy that is happening outside the uterus. And if we bring him memories of this uterine environment, his baby can calm down. The anthropologist who did it, right? He developed this theory. He also developed the 5 S's, which are 5 things you do to calm your baby down, only it's in English. So what did Monica do for you? Transformed into beautiful are the 5 beautiful attitudes that you take with your newborn baby so that he calms down. And with this, you will refer to a uterine environment. And your baby, if he is crying a lot, if he is very nervous, even with colic, or if you do not know what is happening, that hour of the witch, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you know that gives too. You can apply B.E.L.A.S to calm your baby down. What is B.E.L.A.S? OB is to rock you go. It's to rock your baby. B.E.L.A.S is about rolling cigars. Here is the step-by-step for you to see. Remembering the recommendation, it's on my Instagram. Okay? All these images, you don't have to try. They're not there on my Insta. Just follow there. Parents' Almanac for you to see. Remembering that it is made for you to make the baby fall asleep, but not to sleep, okay? Your baby is out of the womb and he needs to discover this new space. Let him get stuck. You're taking away his opportunity to develop, including being able to hip problem. It can cause dysplasia in the baby and make it too tight. So the key was just to fall asleep. Okay? And we will then use OL from B.E.L.A.S, which is to lateralize the baby, preferably with the lower part on the left side. Why? Because it will make his stomach face down, so the gastric juice will be retained instead of being face down here into the esophagus, and also improving circulation through the vena cava. You know those pregnancy tips I gave week after week to keep you on the side? Sorry, now is the time to do that. It's with your baby too. The air is that of feeding, breastfeeding. This calms and comforts your baby. And lastly, theirs is the uterine sound you can do with. Or put in the famous white noise. Even here on YouTube, there are several that you can put for your baby to listen for free. Enjoy. In this first month of life, the baby sleeps about 20 hours a day. And these sleep periods can last from 3 to 4 to 5 hours. Less than dawn, huh? It seems that at dawn he shakes much more, but for this there is a sleep routine that you can apply from now on. I'll leave Lynn linked here for you, but Tiana will also bring more tips. During the period that the baby is awake, we are going to feed, we are going to change, we are going to bathe, we are going to play with the newborn, and even though his reflexes are still primitive, including his smile is not yet. Funny enough, he still doesn't have the social smile. It will happen next month, but this month he still has a smile, which is a smile of well-being. When he's feeling good, he makes that little smile, usually sleeping, and we already melt and have to melt it. And let's talk about the baby's 5 senses. The first sense, that of hearing. Since then, from the 5th month of gestation, your baby is already hearing and hearing well. So he will recognize, yes, your voice, the voice of people nearby, the songs you used to put. If you have a carrot puppy, he also recognizes and sometimes does not even get scared when sleeping because they are familiar sounds to him. So take advantage of this tip to put the music you like. And by the way, you know that story about how classical music makes the baby smarter? It's any music. Play the music you like 4 hours a day. You don't need a screen, but music is very good for the baby's brain development. After the audition, we'll get in touch. Do you remember that in his belly, we used to see sometimes on ultrasound, him with his little hand in his mouth, his little hand in his mouth? They like it. That's why we shouldn't wear gloves on the baby unless it's extremely cold, because for him it's calming, he's feeling the touches. In addition to being a great learning experience, it also makes him touch himself and he likes it. That's why many babies don't even like clothes. They'd rather stay, right? Just in diapers and skin to skin with you. The skin for him is much more comfortable than pieces of clothing. So it does not take away the opportunity of your baby to continue taking his hand to his mouth, discovering your hands do not use gloves. There's a video explaining more about it here. Then we enter with vision, the vision of the newborn, his less developed sense. He sees more or less like this. Oh, how is it in this image? Little contrast, almost no color, and he'll see better about 20 or 30 centimeters away. So take the opportunity to talk to your baby up close so he can see you more. And this distance is the distance from breastfeeding. It's this distance that his face is from yours. So enjoy it, okay? Another sense that is very accurate is also smell. Yes, he is born feeling many smells, and that is why we should not keep using moisturizers and perfumes, because the smell that he likes and recognizes the most is his mother. He already recognizes your smell. So when you take a bath, do not put perfume. Do not let your baby smell your smell. In fact, some women notice that body odors like those of bacilla, they become stronger during this period of breastfeeding. But it's nature acting so that your baby can smell you even more, okay? Yes, they smell their mother. And finally, the palate. Even though your little baby isn't ready to keep trying things, right? The feeding will take place there. At 6 months, he already senses flavors, and he is able to recognize the taste of your milk, the taste of someone else's milk, for example, if you use a milk bank, and even the flavors of formulas. This is why the baby may feel strange when giving a formula, for example. It's not just a wood that's weird, the taste too. The baby also has a well-developed palate. But what does he really need? The richest food? For him, it's breast milk, and that's one of the reasons they do the tongue test as soon as the baby is born to see, right? How's the baby's tongue? How is the lingual break to help you breastfeed? This test is still carried out in the maternity hospital and with well-established breastfeeding. Whether bottle, formula, cup, spoon, he will be ingesting at the end of this month about 600 milliliters per day. What did I ever tell you? And what equals more, or 900 calories of areas? That is, eat well because your baby is consuming a lot of calories, so you have to have a healthy diet and also manage enough liquid to have milk production. And even though he was all set to nurse, his bowel wasn't yet used to working. In other words, when he is there, around 15 days, it may be that he begins to present terrible colic. The baby's colic happens for many factors, such as, and when he is breastfeeding, right? He ingests a lot of air, also due to the peristaltic movements, which are new to him, and the baby's intestine, which triples in size in these first months of life. There are many transformations happening in our little ones, and colic, unfortunately, happens too. It usually happens around 45 hours in the afternoon and can last up to 8 hours in the evening. And what will help relieve this baby is skin-to-skin contact with the mother. The B.E.L.A.S also helps allot your baby to calm down a hot tub bath too. They love a bag of hot water in their belly, but skin-to-skin contact, right? In your chest, already doing a tame time, that Aunt Anna is already listening to me here, doing it like this, already doing a tame time is what will help your baby calm down the most. And I know you can get really nervous, and I know we do, and the baby feels it too. So if you're exhausted, have a support network, ask someone to stay with your baby for a little while so you can calm down, all right? The greatest care during this period is with the mother. You can take care of your baby, but your baby just needs you. And another thing that also helps is that you massage your baby in circular motion, always clockwise, which is the direction that the baby's intestines go. This helps the intestines function. And speaking of intestine, the first feces of the baby, which is meconium, they have an aspect, a little bit of grease, almost no smell. It is difficult to clean. And over time, if your baby is only breastfeeding, lost that golden yellow, which would be a light brown with the lumps or not. If he's taking formula, it may have a brownish color, more dark, and can also affect a little more by smell. Because that smell of even adult feces, your baby will only have at the food introduction. For now, you may even think it stinks, but calm down, you can still thank later. Of course, it will smell much more when he is eating other foods or with the formula. The formula also changes, and babies who take formula tend to have more colic too. And now some cautions that I think it is important to point out to you. Visit the newborn, the person who is not sick, if possible, using a mask, also using alcohol gel, nothing to wake the baby, only take the baby if you want, if you leave. If by chance the person wants to take it and you are not comfortable, you can say, no, I prefer you leave it there. I'm getting used to it. You can talk, okay, it's your son. Your rules are what prevail at this moment, okay? This is very important. Another important precaution, no shopping malls and closed places. There are a lot of viruses and your baby is not yet protected. So these tours, if you have already been cleared to do them due to childbirth, will usually be after quarantine, right? After 40 days, if you have already released some walks, put the baby in the stroller, take a few walks around the block in a square, an airy place, okay? No, closed place in time. There are a lot of viruses circulating, a lot of people circulating, even going and outside peak hours. They pose a risk to the baby, so you can't. Another warning is to never leave your baby, even for a second, alone in the newborn changing room, okay? They don't have the same agility to turn around like a bigger baby, but newborns can move. And a fall in the changer can be a very serious accident, so we can't leave it for even a second. This goes for naps. If you go to sleep, put it in the crib, put it in a safe place for your baby. It will be better for him and for you, who will be able to be more relaxed. Nothing to. And now I'm going to bring a guest who came here to explain to us what are the stimuli that we are going to do, what are the games with our newborn baby in his first month of life to help in development. And as she herself says, stimulating, never hyper-stimulating. Welcome, Aunt Anna. Aunt Anna from Helper Kids came to give the best tips she knows that we are looking for, but that a professional specialized in newborns. Welcome once again.
Thank you again, Monica, for the invitation. Let's talk about the development of our babies, which is the most beautiful thing in the world. And what did you say? That babies play? And this is something we hear a lot, but he has 1 month, or rather he has a few days. He plays like this. Do you understand how they play?
When can we start doing the famous tummy time, which is belly down the baby? After he's been discharged, he's at home.
Can we do that? Monica, from the first days of life, we know that parents often feel a little insecure about putting their baby on the floor, on the carpet, right? We talk on the floor, but it's on the carpet. But it is very important that we, from the first days, do this, whether on our chest or on our arm. Can you put some on the bed? It's not a place Tiana likes. Tiana likes it to be on the floor in Tapatim because it is a safe and ideal environment for the baby. And that's where he's going to spend most of his time over the next few months, playing, developing, and exploring everything he can do.
If I don't have those VA rugs or those for the children, I can put, for example, a duvet on the floor, can I?
Put a duvet on the floor and put a sheet on top so the baby can play. It is very important that these moments, when we put the baby on its tummy down, are small moments. We don't need to insist and talk, my God, but Ob can't stay for even a second. The most important thing is that he raises his little head and lowers that little head. He'll try again and he'll come down. That's the most important thing. When he is on his tummy down, and we know, as you already mentioned in the video, that babies sleep a lot, so we will be able to do this at some times of the day. We won't be able to do this very often, especially in the first month. Why? Because we have a lot of maternal adaptation that you also mentioned, and we also have the baby sleep. They sleep a lot, and we have the baby on our chest. Then there are other things that come in that you have already mentioned as well, such as colic. So it is very important that you, and whenever possible, put one of your babies on their tummy down.
My baby hates tummy down. Anna, I'll put it on. He cries. Do you have a position that might be appropriate?
Here on your chest, you can do it without clothes, just the baby in a diaper. Skin-to-skin contact is wonderful, especially when we talk about premature babies, but they all love it. In our arms, we can carry the baby in our arms. Look how interesting. Both this way and this way, slowly, little by little, because he still doesn't have complete control of his head, right? So he is developing, strengthening the muscles of the little neck. So be very careful and support the baby's head. More important that this tame time happens from the first days of this child's life.
One of the favorite toys of pediatricians is mobiles, because they help the child to focus. Even if she is not very interested in it at first, over time, she will discover that music, the movement. This helps in the development of the baby's eye muscles that were not trained in the belly, except for the mobile that I have already spoken here. The newborn baby, he needs a toy, does not need a toy. What is this controversy that has appeared on the internet?
I love the little toys, which are mainly black and white. For this age, thinking a lot about this high contrast that babies observe, but they really like to look at the caregivers' faces and they move around and start playing with his little body. Of course, this is happening gradually. Every time he's awake, he's playing, he's twisting, right? Monica told you that when they are born, they are all bent, hands and legs are bent. But have you noticed how they do it? They come here to one side. Then they pass, go to the other side, and every day they improve these movements. That's why we always say that everything is a construction. And in addition to these toys and has the contrast, there are several black and white contrast books. And even citing the mobile that you said exists today in the mobile market that you can ask to do or that you can do yourself or you can do at home. We don't need to buy anything expensive. We can also build. And there are also the ones you can buy that are already black and white, but you also don't need anyone to buy black and white and color, none of that. Always pay attention to high contrast objects, especially black and white at this stage. But your face is what they really like. And Monica also mentioned the distance that you already know is around 20 to 30 centimeters.
And an interesting thing that you will notice over time is that babies will start to imitate your features. So doing an AE is, you know, those lines that we automatically have when we take a baby to stay. That's it, baby loves it. Of course, with development, we improve our speech so that he learns to speak, correct? But playing with baby, doing brew, doing all these movements is, besides being super interesting for him, it's the person he loves the most, his universe, the people he trusts, giving him all his attention. It's an incredible learning experience. And a
position that I really like to talk to parents to be able to interact at this moment of baby's alert is the one that will appear here in the video.
A little baby etched here on the little leg, sitting on the pelvis and with the little leg stretched or doubled. You can do gymnastics, you can talk.
You can talk, you can do gymnastics, you can make all those sounds that Monica talked about. He'll pay attention. Of course, every day he will pay more attention because it is something that is evolutionary and that is very important and a very important thing. Monica, remembering the reflexes, you mentioned that the development of babies happens in the brain. Caudal, proximal, distal, that is, the baby first goes there to hold the head, strengthen all its muscles, and then this comes to the waist, scapular, trunk, pelvis, and legs. And this child stands. So you see that there is a sequence for all this to happen. And we started in the first month of life.
And finally, I think we can't help but talk. We already know that the baby has to sleep on his stomach, right, Aunt Anna?
That's perfect.
And when he's sleeping on his tummy, it's up in the crib. It's with nothing around the crib, no pillow, no toy, no blanket. If necessary, you will tighten this blanket, leave it well fixed on the sides so that there is no way for the baby to pull. The baby may feel more comfortable if you put his foot there at the end of the crib so that he has a limit. This can give more comfort for your baby to sleep more. It's not for sleeping with a cigar, but that in excess can give. The cranial asymmetry that we have a complete video with Aunt Anna here. Oh, I'm going to leave her at home for you, which would be a flattening of the little head. What do we do to avoid and what care do we have to take with baby comfort? That little baby that we have a lot of things to do when the baby comforts.
The baby comfort, it is recommended for any baby transport, so we have to use it. This is safe, okay? So when the baby is at home, that's not where the baby has to be. He has to be there in his crib, or he will be on his lap, mommy, year anyway, with his mother cherishing him. But when he is sleeping, he will be in the crib or in his arms. But we have to remember that the lap is very good. By the way, colo is very good, right? But we also have to remember that this baby needs to move, so it's not possible for him to stay alone on his lap for long. We have to remember to change these baby positions. And then, as Monica said, when we put this baby to sleep unsupervised, he will always be on his tummy. What can we do? Now this little head is on one side. Now this little head is turned a little to the other side. And when this baby has someone supervising it, we can put this baby to sleep on his side or stomach. But if no one always looks up, it is the recommendation of the Brazilian Society of Pediatrics. And this is extremely important because we are talking about sudden death. So since 1992, we have had this recommendation from the Brazilian Society of Pediatrics about the importance of babies sleeping on their tummies, avoiding them, and we had a decrease. Very important, very significant of sudden death. On the other hand, yes, we had a significant increase, as Monica already said, in cranial asymmetries. But it is very important that we remember to rotate the position of these babies.
Diana, thank you for the tips. You still stay here with me, and I'm going to talk about you now, Mom. Now it's Mom Talk. Ready for our Mom Talk? First, congratulations, Mom. It's delicious to have a baby at home, but we know how challenging it is. And we also know that more or less 12 weeks after the baby is born, we have a very intense hormonal drop, which can cause the famous baby blues. What the hell is that? In English, blue refers to sadness, so it would be a sadness of the birth of the baby. It's natural that we have it, but it's very different too. But it's different from postpartum depression. In the baby blues, we cry, we don't know why, we feel alone, misunderstood, tired. And some psychiatrists go so far as to say that it's good that you had the baby blues, that you realize that you have a baby to take care of, that your life has changed, that it's a long-term responsibility, that there is a very intense change happening in your life. And the baby blues is us being aware that this change arrived during pregnancy. We keep thinking about it, and now it becomes totally real. So it's common for us to have it, and it tends to pass 1 to 2 weeks after it appears. But if you start to have appetite weight, don't feel connected to the baby, don't want to leave the room, don't even want to think about taking a shower, changing clothes, this can be a sign of postpartum depression. And I'm going to ask you to please talk to your doctor. You can talk to your obstetrician or even with your baby's pediatrician. Explain your state that postpartum depression, in addition to common, it is extremely difficult for you. Dealing with it alone is too much suffering for you, and it's not your fault. At this beginning, the baby still doesn't connect much with us, right? He asks for a lot of lap, we have a lot of things to do, and it seems that he complains and has no gratitude for all our dedication. It's a difficult time this first month exactly for that reason, because it's a time of total dedication. You care for your baby, but you remember that if he is crying, if he soothes a little in your lap, it is because of the gratitude he has for the security you give him. It's a way for you to see that in your baby's world, which is you, when you're away from him, he misses you. He gets lonely, and we leave a baby crying. Often we don't understand what this baby is going through. That's why we say it's not to let the baby cry. But I also understand that sometimes we are so worn out that we don't know what to do anymore. If you have a support network, that's what I'm hoping is your reality. Ask for help, even if it is for a neighbor to stay with your baby for 30 minutes, for you to take a bath. And this can already bring a huge well-being. Have 5 quiet minutes, because only we enter the bath with our baby sleeping, we begin to hear crying, and he did not even cry. Wow, I heard a lot of crying, by the way, see? So when we have help, that is once a week, a person to stay for half an hour just for you to take a shower, it will bring you relief. It will bring you a breather. There is the mantra of motherhood that it will pass while we are in this hurricane. We don't believe it, but I'm going to tell you that it will pass, that it will be missed, that it is delicious, and that in the end, it will be one of the best phases of your life. It's something you'll remember forever. And I'm here to wish this motherhood to be amazing.